Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Suzerain Kingdom of Rizia edition, where things are going okay. We just finished chapter 2 I should say, which means we're probably about halfway through. The original game I think ran to about 22 or 23 episodes. I think we're on about episode 14 now, so I'll be intrigued to see how things go. Authority and budget wise and energy wise are actually looking okay. Of course, things can change. Over at Valenkier, we've got to invest in new industry. 3 budget though. With the industry on the cusp of a significant breakthrough, we stand at a pivotal moment to invest in a new high potential sector. This initiative aims to kickstart a massive industry and create countless jobs, leveraging the groundwork already laid. Any new expansion of a sector presents unique opportunities for economic growth and technological advancement. -3 budget. Renewable energy, steelmaking, or pharmaceutical? I'm guessing pharmaceutical will help the populace, energy will help our energy supplies, and steelmaking will help our military and possibly our budget going forward. I'm going to invest in renewable energy to keep our energy moving in the right direction. If we can keep positive energy flow, then we don't need to rely so much on the powers that be, the kind of big powers from elsewhere. Next, a Security Council meeting. I felt the cool sand between my toes as I ran along the beach of Zille with my grandparents. Ahead, the vast expanse of the Gulf of Mordia stretched out endlessly, shimmering in the sunlight. I remembered the salty breeze tossing my hair as our boat glided across the surface, the rhythmic sound of the waves, the cries of seagulls. It was a simpler time, a time of pure joy untainted by the weight of royal duties. Good afternoon, Your Majesty. I'm glad you could join us. Lucita's words stamped me out of my memories and back to reality. Upon entering the council room, I found Titus and Lucita awaiting my arrival. They promptly rose from their seats when they noticed me. I was here to receive the latest updates on the situation in Zille. Always a pleasure to be here. What have you got for me today? As you know, we're to go over the latest updates regarding the transfer of Zille to Rizian governance, but before we dive into that, I have important news to share. Due to your faith in and financial support of the Golden Guard, we've finally been able to identify who was behind the Friendship Day bombing. I'm pleased to hear it. I knew you'd come through. We took a seat around the council table, and Titus handed each of us a large file, its contents nearly overflowing. While surveilling Quintus Gorka, the Suzerain member linked to Terragrowth Agrochem, we discovered a mundane connection. One evening, a Rizian operative engaged Gorka in casual conversation over drinks at a local tavern in Isa. To our surprise, he unwittingly confessed to being blackmailed over an affair with a Bluish migrant from Wales. Blackmail, how intriguing. Oh, just wait, this is where it gets interesting. The blackmailers threatened to expose the affair, as Gorka provided him with a specific fertilizer which had yet to be put on the market. It goes without saying that given Suzerain a strong dislike for the Bloods, this posed a significant dilemma for him. It just so happens that the residue found on the bombing site matches the materials produced at Terragrowth Agrochem. And so who was the culprit? After thorough investigation, we found the culprit to be a well-known spy named Alexei Radovich from Lesbia. God damn it. Alvarez. For years he's been stationed at the consulate in Zille, officially holding the position of a political officer, a cover of course. He has diplomatic immunity, so we're unable to bring him for questioning. However, this evidence gives us serious reason to believe that Lesbia was involved in arranging the Zille incident. A hush fell over the room as everyone absorbed the news. This changes everything. I'm afraid so. What would motivate Lesbia to take such actions? If I were to venture a guess, I'd say the bombing was meant to sow discord between Rizia and Wales as a means of destabilisation. Lesbia's actions gave Smolak the justification to cling to Zille. Lucita nodded. The question now is what impact this will have on Zille's reunification, not to mention our relations with Lesbia. Due to our intelligence sharing agreement with Wales, the evidence against Lesbia will be made public to them. In other words, we'll have already lost control of the narrative. It would be nice to have more time to figure out how to release the information, but we will handle it accordingly. Won't Merlin be forced to give Zille back after the evidence gets out? Here is where we are regarding progress on Zille's return, Your Majesty. I can only speak with authority about the security-related terms of your agreement. We are upholding the board ban you agreed on. It seems like we are continuing to uphold the rights of Wessex citizens in Rizia. I believe we are on track to meet the terms set in our agreement 3 years ago, but you would know best. Going public with the Lesbia evidence would be a good insurance, even if it's not strictly needed. With all that in mind, I suggest discussing our contingency plan for getting Zille back should our agreement fail. Let's explore our options. The way I see it, we can either approach this diplomatically, or if necessary, take a more aggressive stance. Let's start with the diplomatic approach. While we don't have a lot of options, we could continue supporting ATA. Furthering the advocacy for Rizian values and culture could rally public support for a reunification referendum. People tend to value having a say in shaping their own destiny. That sounds promising, but I doubt the presence alone will sway public opinion in favour of reunification. What other possibilities are there? While the Crown's relationship with Suzerain isn't great, to put it mildly, I still see a potential for collaboration. By framing this as a strategic partnership, we could show them our goals align with theirs, stability and prosperity for Zille. Offering financial incentives could also sweeten the deal, ensuring they see the benefits of joining forces. In short, they'd bolster their influence and regain a powerful ally. That said, it's worth noting that their methods are extreme and could risk backfiring, turning the public against us. Good point, we should tread carefully regarding how much we should support Suzerain if that's the path we choose. Agree, the drawbacks might outweigh the benefits. In conclusion, you'll be pleased to know that the momentum behind Zille's reunification continues to grow at a steady pace. As for the armed resistance movement, it's steadily gaining momentum, albeit at a moderate pace, in support of Rizia's reunification endeavours. Thank you, this is good information to know. Excellent work, everyone. That concludes our discussions. It's my honour, sir. My pleasure as always, Your Majesty. Titus saw himself out, however, Lucita remained behind. Something on your mind, Duchess? A teasing smile adorned Lucita's face. Just thought I'd see what your plans are for the rest of the day, and if you needed company. Sure, why not? I thought you'd never ask. With Lucita offering an approving smile, we departed from the council room and headed to my private quarters shortly afterwards. Okay, got an achievement there, solved the Zille Friendship Day bombing. Man, Lesbia, I wanted to be friends. I really wanted to be friends, Lesbia. And now we're going to have to talk about this with Patricia Alvarez, and he's not going to be friends, is he? And he's a strong power. When we arrived in Perla, the press surged forward at me like a relentless horde, shoving their cameras and microphones my way. Their shouts and pleas for attention clashed with the stoic demeanour of the lesbian security guards. These guards, clad in crisp, dark uniforms, formed a protective barrier around us, their eyes scanning for any reporter daring enough to breach their formation. Our convoy commenced its journey even. A series of sleek black cars, gliding through the lesbian capital's bustling streets. We eased to a stop at the entrance of the Yellow House. I stepped out onto the cobblestone driveway. The building itself was a small but imposing structure of classical design, its yellow-painted walls standing out boldly against the greenery of the park. I was led into the waiting room, a space with an understated elegance, furnished with leather chairs and a mahogany table. Sunlight filtered through lace curtains, scuffing off soft patterns on the floor. As I waited for Prime Minister Alvarez, my attention was captured by a mysterious-looking teapot, resplendent in its golden sheen. Have a look. The elegant crafted vessel was engraved with intricate designs and delicate floral patterns interwoven with abstract shapes that reminded me of medieval resonant motifs. I leaned in closer, observing the way the light played off its surface, and the piece was definitely made out of Rizian gold and looked far too ancient for its well-maintained shape. I wondered if it was an original Rizian artifact or an unrelated gift from another foreign dignitary. Whatever it was, I questioned why a valuable artifact was left out in the open like this. But then again, those who were allowed in the room, world leaders and people of stature, would probably not have the common sense not to disturb the priceless relic. As I stood there absorbed in thought, the doors opened and Prime Minister Alvarez came in. I see you immediately spotted your kingdom's gold, Your Majesty. It is an ancient resonant artifact, uncovered in southern Lesbia. Quite a valuable item, I've been told. Ah, forgive me. He offered his hand and I shook it. Please, let's get comfortable while we discuss our matters. On his gesture, we moved to the sofas and sat down. So, Your Majesty, I must say nobody in my government supports this visit. You've already spread lies about our involvement in Zille and acted quite antagonistically against us. My government believes Rizia is getting increasingly hostile and starting to pose a threat to stability in southern Macopa. They can't believe what they want, Mr. Alvarez, but since you've been so kind to invite us here, you must have a different belief. Perhaps. Why did Rizia publish this so-called evidence? You did not even have a dialogue with me until... And now. Does Rizia really want to make an enemy of Lesbia, Your Majesty? No, despite everything, we believe in cooperation. Well, my government doesn't. Just to be clear, there cannot be any cooperation with Rizia after this. This is out of my hands now, Your Majesty. The sentiment in the Lesbian Parliament is now very anti-Rizian, as you might expect. Ooh, we have to be careful here. Look about the Parliament, you're the one in charge. Lesbia is a democracy, Your Majesty. That might be hard for you to comprehend, but I'm not behind every decision here. I just don't understand why you do anything like this while relations between the countries have been getting better. I'll be blunt. We are in a breaking point of Lesbian-Rizian relations, and my people are now supportive of more aggressive policies against Rizia. Oh God, what do we do? What are you talking about? We know that Lesbia is responsible? No. You better cooperate with Mr. Alvarez. I've also heard the public opinions against you. Are you sure you can get elected again? Was this a personal triumph for you, Mr. Taurus? You should know that your little tricks did not gain you any sympathy in Lesbia. If I lose in the next elections, you'll be dealing with someone who clearly opposes your regime in its entirety. I wonder what you think of me then. He stood up. I'm sorry you came all the way for this, but I believe we're done here. Let's just call the meeting here. Damn. We probably could have done that better. Thank you for the meeting. Have a good day. I stood up and walked out of the room with quick steps. Okay, we're only at neutral. We're not at kind of breaking point just yet. Of course, could all change. Let's hope it doesn't. Amidst growing calls for a boycott of Wessex artists that are connected to the Zille region, the city port of Port Josen has cancelled the sold-out Marcel Inovitz concert, which was due to be the only recent show of his Macopa tour. And a council meeting. Let's see how this goes. I passed through the gardens of the palace towards council chambers to meet with the council. Uncle Hugo greeted me in front of the doors. Your Majesty, the councillors are waiting for you. He opened the doors and held it for me as I entered. The councillors were already seated around the table, deep in conversation. When they saw us entering, they immediately rose and bowed. Please have a seat. My councillors nodded and took their seats. Before we begin, I want to extend my blessings to the upcoming royal marriage. Congratulations, Your Highness. May God bless the union between you and Duke Reinhardt. Thank you, Grand Wiseman. She smiled and bowed her head to sound respect. Your Majesty, may I? Please. I'll start with an overview of some recent reports that have been published by the AN. I'm proud to relay that living standards have increased significantly over the course of His Majesty's reign. The majority of Rizians are quite happy with how things are going. There are also concerns from labour leaders who seem to be attempting to incite strikes amongst the underclasses. They claim that their only demand is better working conditions. Thank you, Your Grace, for sharing this information with us. Coupled with the unmet demands of last year's workers' strike, these are troubling developments indeed. We have still yet to deliver on the improved working conditions we promised the strike leaders. As a result, support for the revolutionary movement has been growing. I wouldn't be surprised if they're backed by a certain Malian-Evanist neighbours of ours. Broken promises weaken the public's faith in the crown, Your Majesty. I normally would not advise you to give it a distance, but in this case, I suggest we fulfill the protesters' demands as soon as we have the resources to do so. Thank you for your advice. I'll take some time to think about it. Please do. That's everything I wanted to address. We can move on to individual briefings now. Let's talk about foreign affairs, given what's happened with Lesbia. Of course, Your Majesty. We are slowly normalising our relationship with Lesbia. Your meeting with Prime Minister Alvarez was very helpful. Was it? Lesbia is an important partner and potential threat. We must tread carefully with them. Another important point is our scheduled meeting with the Wizard President. Your Majesty will have a chance to talk to President Smac about the situation with Zille. He may bring up yet another unexpected request or security issue. Regardless of his theatrics, we should do our best to reach a final resolution to ensure the swift return of Zille. If all else fails, we can bring it up in the upcoming Alliance of Nations session. Thank you for the advice, Mr. Escobar. On the other hand, our trade relations with Morella are very positive. The final vote on the MITZ issue, which will take place at the start of the next year, will be the defining factor for our long-term relations with them. What's more important is that we get a result that is in our national interest. This will be my priority. Our relationships with Durdia, on the other hand, have not changed since your greeting with Grand Wiseman Asmau. The disputes with Morella and Wayland still remain a major concern. He stopped for a moment to look at his notes. Oh, also, Supreme Wiseman Asmau sent us a letter of condemnation, criticising what he calls our continued oppression against Golcondas in Rizia. And in the PS section of the letter we discovered a Golcondas curse. Thank you for telling me. I don't need to know what the curse said. Of course, Your Majesty. And last but not least, Palace, but Your Majesty is already aware of the situation with Duke Reinhardt. The royal wedding shall take place after your upcoming visit to the Alliance of Nations. I want to take this opportunity to congratulate Her Highness and His Majesty once again. Another hurried round of congratulations to everyone at the table followed. Thank you very much, Mr. Escobar. Duke Reinhardt, Axel, and I have been speaking on the phone about the arrangements. I know he's very open to the idea of Rizian-Parisian reunification. Do you know when we'll be able to proceed with the unification talks? Soon after the wedding, assume it will go smoothly, of course. Thank you for laying the groundwork, Your Highness. Duke Reinhardt is a lucky man indeed. And Vina blushed, learned to bow his head respectfully before continuing. So far, the Palace Stream pipeline has been very beneficial for both of our countries. It is a remarkable achievement. We struck a serious blow to Lesbia's interest in Palace by decreasing their reliance to them and opening their way into grace. Our support of their application has already been approved by other member states. So my congratulations to Duke Reinhardt. That's all for the overview, Your Majesty, but there's one more thing I wanted to discuss with you. Despite it not being your initial intention, we may still be able to bring our neighbours together in a potential regional alliance. The collaborations and interdependencies we have formed thus far makes this a viable strategy we can potentially pursue. Tell me more. With the current relations with our neighbours and the increasing pressure on our region by both the CSP and ATO, we have the perfect window of opportunity. More gas is a crucial bargaining chip that we have. We can provide cheaper gas to our neighbours, connecting our economies even further. If our relations with Morella continue on their current track of improvement, they can also be a potential partner in the region. That will depend on the outcome of next year's final MITZ board vote. I'm hoping for no last-minute surprises. If we can reach a resolution with President Smac over Zille, I believe they can also be a potential partner. Our treaty has already shown great promise. Everyone in the region is looking for more energy sources. They're under increasing pressure from the CSP and the ATO to subjugate themselves to the interests of the superpowers. Meanwhile, we're still on good terms with Rumberg and Grace, but our distant geographical proximity limits the Rumbergs we can get out of those alliances. I truly believe that our national interests align with those of our neighbours, and if we can connect our economies further and create balanced dependencies on each other, we can ensure peace and unity in southern Macopa. How would the superpowers react if we were to do so? They will not like it, of course, but what can they do if we all come together to protect our independence? If we can lead such a peace initiative, I think this is realistically possible. It is all about ensuring that our countries are linked in a fundamental level that makes cutting ties a losing scenario for everyone. This is the only way to bring countries with the vastly different ideologies and cultures like we have in southern Macopa. But it does come at the risk of alienating Rumberg. Queen Beatrice may see such an alliance as an affront to Grace, especially at a time when the kingdom is facing increasing geopolitical isolation. So, risk I'm going to take. I do think we should try and have our little conglomerate here. Thank you, Your Majesty. We can start the process by reaching out to our neighbours and preemptively funding some funds into leading the initiative. Should I begin the efforts? Yes, we'll try. As you wish, Your Majesty, I'll keep you updated as developments occur. Anything else? Let's talk about our military situation. Yes, Your Majesty. Rizia Armed Forces needs investments. In comparison to our neighbours, we're completely behind in terms of military capabilities. We can currently field around 8 to 9 fully equipped infantry divisions. Unfortunately, we can only field 3 mechanised support divisions that are specifically trained to support the assaults of our infantry and armoured divisions. The numbers we have will make it very difficult to defend ourselves in case of military conflict. When it comes to tanks, we currently field 3 tank divisions. This is significantly lower than our neighbours. On the other hand, our air force is quite capable of contesting the regional powers. Unfortunately, we do not have enough ships to be able to project any amount of power in the Antician Sea. Our submarines can also provide support where necessary. Although we don't have many of them, they can still cause a considerable amount of damage. Thank you for the overview. Anything else you want to discuss? Let's talk about the economy. Elena took out her ledger, placed it on the table and opened up. As already mentioned, living standards in Rizia are in a very healthy position as a result of a combination of economic policies. We have a significant amount of money flowing into our economy. This is a good indicator for the future. We also have some reserves with which we can fund projects. When you ascended the throne, we set a focus to further the Rizian resource economy. Currently, we have a very rigid energy economy with heavy reliance on certain sources. Our future is looking strong as long as access to those resources remain. Unfortunately, we are still seeing only average production capacity. This is something to work on. Thank you for sharing this, Miss Werner. As for our business climate, in light of the recent slowdown in growth, paired with forecasts suggesting the potential onset of a recession next year, we are observing a notable decline in investment activities. This downturn is harming new businesses and forcing cutbacks, resulting in a shrinking job market and posing serious challenges to our economic stability. Is there any additional strategies we can employ? I agree wholeheartedly. I'm exploring every possible option to strengthen our economy further. That's it for the economy then. I think we've been through everything. Thank you for the input. We can call this session over. The councillors bowed their head in respect. When they left their room, I went to the balcony to get some fresh air. Okay, let's look at Grace first before we deal with the thing in our mainland. Grace is escalating its support for the monarchist forces in the civil war. In a bid to break the ongoing stalemate, we are deploying additional resources and providing enhanced strategic assistance. Our alliance is determined to achieve a decisive victory for the monarchist cause, reflecting our steadfast commitment to the monarchist principles and to our resolve to influence the outcome of this critical conflict. The Grace trade volume crashes. Alarming economic reports reveal a significant drop in trade volume within Grace, a crucial economic partner, adversely affecting the Treasury budget. Damn. This development necessitates prompt and strategic response to mitigate the impact on our economy. Possible actions including renegotiating our trade agreements with Grace, seeking new trade alliances, or bolstering domestic industries to lessen our dependence on Grace trade. -1 budget and -1 authority. Not very good at all. We'll look for real partners. Okay. Authority down. Some of our budget down as well. I think the authority is going to be a real struggle going forward. Okay. How much is... Before we start the South Mercopan Alliance Initiative, I'm going to go to Royal Decrees. Because as far as I'm aware, this thing is going to cost us some money. So I'm going to sell some energy, because I think we have quite a bit. Small initial global energy. No, I don't need a purchase, I want a sale. Let's go for a medium global energy sale. 4 energy for only 2 budget. That's not great, but I'll sign it. I'm guessing the more that we sell, the less it's worth, it seems. But we're still doing well in terms of energy, so I'm not all too concerned. Yeah, we're still doing okay in terms of energy. I just wanted a bit of extra budget to do this South Mercopan Alliance thing because it's going to cost a lot. We are establishing the basis of a South American alliance, a significant venture aimed at enhancing our international presence and influence. The plan involves setting up the organisation's headquarters in Port Drazen and a public relations office in Constantium Cairut. This initiative requires careful consideration of the level of funding and resources to be allocated, balancing our aspirations with fiscal prudence. We'll start with a small investment. Small investment for the time being. Average living standards, I will take. It's better than nothing. And over to Whalen. This is going to be important. My eyes remain locked on an enormous airship moored at a blimp base on the outskirts of the presidential palace in Rakrovets, Whalen's capital. Its sleek form dominated the skyline. Standing before it, I absorbed the sight of President Smac's imposing image, prominently displayed on its side, alongside the flag of Whalen and bold proclamations of Whalen's rise to prominence. With Smolak at the helm, Whalen soars to new heights. Our agreement's 3-year probationary period had come to an end. It was finally time to discuss the return of Zille, however my host was nowhere in sight. Flanked by golden guardsmen, I eventually made my way up the red carpet, stretching from my motorcade to the airship's gondola, passing a dozen or so young women in impeccably pressed uniforms. The interior of the ship was adorned with lavish blue and white drapes, cascading from ship floor to ceiling windows. Plush magenta seats lined the cabin, each embellished with opulent tassels and cushions embroidered with the Whalen crest. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling, casting a dazzling array of light across the space. The gondola cabin practically screamed excess to the point of absurdity. And there, amongst all of it, was the man of the hour, Wiktor Smolak. "Welcome aboard, Your Majesty. So glad you could join me." It was then I was noticing he was carrying a baby who couldn't be more than a year old. Future leader in training? Ha, you could say that. After 11 daughters, courtesy of my 8 wives, all of whom I'm still married to, I finally have a boy. Me, Wiktor Smolak II. We're having a father-son weekend. I have to have, how heartwarming. Let's talk about Zille. Patience is a virtue, Your Majesty. We haven't even taken off yet. It was then that I felt the airship begin its ascent. I looked out the window at the sprawling capital city, becoming smaller and smaller. Whenever you're ready, I'm more than happy to begin our discussion. Hey, take a step back, relax and enjoy the ride. We've got a long flight ahead of us. There'll be time for all of that soon enough. Several hours later, after falling asleep on one of the lounge chairs on the observation deck, I was startled awake by the sharp slap of a newspaper hitting the side table beside me. It was a copy of the Royal Herald, the top story about the revelation of Lesbia's involvement in the Friendship Day bombing. Smolak was standing over me with a grin on his face, and little Wiktor was in his arms. "Just look at that. It's amazing what we can accomplish when our two nations work together. Would you care for a drink? We've got everything. Just a water, if you will. His Majesty shall receive all the hydration he desires. Come with me." We made our way to a private room where drinks were already set out for us. Even the baby had a bottle waiting for him. We took our seats in front of the window with a view just as fantastic as before. To travelling in style, cheers. You're the first world leader to share a ride on my airship. I'm honoured. You should be. Everyone else is so official and by the book. I could invite Prime Minister Alvarez here, but he'd pay more attention to the liquor than the view. And Queen Beatrice? Ha, forget it. It's as if they don't want to be friends, not like us. Is that what we are, friends? Our two nations have been there for each other in the past. I see no reason why we can't continue that partnership now and in the years to come. Which is why you're here. So let's get to it. Smolak jimped his drink before pulling out a cocktail napkin with his jacket pocket. There were vague scribblings on it. If you remember, we signed an agreement regarding the conditions for Zille's return to Rizia. He held up the napkin, where I could make out a list of the terms to our amended treaty. How could I forget? I never remember anything I signed. In fact, I'm going to fill you on a little secret. I don't read any of the bills or treaties I put my name to. I have a whole department whose job it is to handle that. I prefer the annotated version, direct and to the point. He waved his napkin once more. And allow me to be direct and to the point. I'm here to ensure the removal... Oh, let's not get that. No, let's do this one. I hope this effort hasn't been in vain. Smolak's expression turned cold. I'll be the judge of that. A brief moment of tension quickly subsided with a flash of the President's trademark smile. Well, what are we waiting for? Let's get to it. We made an agreement, Your Majesty. I believe we both remember its terms. Indeed, we made a trade deal. Yes, we did. According to my notes, my people are very grateful for your generous wine shipments. He raised his glass. What can I say? What good is wine if not shared with the world? Indeed, wine's wasted if one merely hogs it for themselves. Now when it comes to the import of Rizian gold, it's been quite the economic boom. In fact, as a tribute to our success, I'm in the process of renovating my entire bathroom with Rizian gold. Soon my morning routine will feel like a royal coronation. You should talk to our man Rusty Montoro, who's made renovations of a similar kind. Why wouldn't one? It's the most important room in the house. You also promised to provide us with military equipment. However, we're getting hardly any at all. I hear your stockpiles are running low. That's not good for either of us, is it? Anyway, without getting further into the nitty-gritty of all the goods being exchanged across the borders, that covers the main points I wanted to address regarding trade. Now, for security-related matters, if I'm deciphering my handwriting correctly, it says here, your refusal to grant the blue safe haven in Rizia has helped us catch many a terrorist. By the way, I've heard nothing about gratitude from expatriates of my country living in Rizia. You've really taken it upon yourself to better their situation. Not counting the new religious tax, of course. So that's it for the treaty. I hope you understand my doubts about Rizia's reliability as a trade partner. I apologise, Mr. President, I did the best I could. Having said that, that agreement is not the only factor at play here. I was very happy with how you and your security forces handled the Friendship Day bombing investigation, even if the culprit wasn't whom either of us suspected. It troubles me that you still haven't come to senses regarding your one-sided relationship with Rumberg. I'll admit that I'm disappointed that you kept your anti-Wizet cousin in power all this time. I need to think about this for a second. Smolak finished his drink very slowly. So what do you say? Does Rizia meet your criteria for friendship? As far as friendship goes, Smolak abruptly halted mid-sentence, seemingly captivated by the view outside the window. He stood up and approached the glass. Turning to see what caught his attention, my gaze caught the rays of the setting sun travelling across an open body of water, illuminating an all-too-familiar city on a distant shore. Your Majesty, may I present Zille? Let's butter him up a bit. I must say you've outdone yourself this time, Smolak. This view is absolutely stunning. That's putting it lightly. I must say, the sight of Zille takes my breath away every time I see it. Oh, you bastard. But given everything we've just discussed, I'm afraid I simply can't part with it. Holds too much sentimental value. I'm honestly shocked to hear this. Is there anything we can do to change your mind? Now, we're talking, Majesty. It's heartening to see that you recognise the value of mutual concessions. After all, there's always room for negotiation. See? I always come prepared. Very well, give it here. I took the napkin and read over his conditions. Think of it as a friendly suggestion. You want Zille to hold a referendum on reunification, I presume? Precisely. The way I see it, it should be up to the people of Zille to decide. Who are we to dictate their destiny without consent? I'm listening. The way I see it, a decision of this magnitude that goes against the will of the people will merely breed resentment and dissent. Having a choice in the matter is crucial. Damn you, Wiktor Smolak. We gave you a lot. We gave you a lot of stuff. But it's either going to be a question of military force or a referendum. Very well, I trust them to make their right decision. Come now, Your Majesty, there's no look to look so despairing. This referendum is a huge step forward for both our nations, regardless of the outcome. Let's embrace it as an opportunity for progress and mutual understanding. You, good sir, are a dick. We passed the rest of our weekend soaring through the skies on Smac's airship, taking in the sights of Wayland and the distant horizon of Zille. As we sipped on fine wine and engaged in conversation, the significance of our diplomatic negotiations for Zille's return began to dawn on me. However, it wasn't until after our descent during my journey back to Rizia that I was struck by the full weight of what I'd agreed to. Bugger. It's not good at all. Not good in the slightest. Okay. Rejoicing Callus, the surveyors of the Crown reported back their results of the mining survey carried out in recent months. Significant gold deposits found underneath Callus and Fort Meno that, if exploited, have the potential to solidify Rizia's position as a leading gold producer in the region. And, oh good, wine exports quadruple. The wine industry has achieved a remarkable milestone, a quadrupling of its exports. This surge in viticulture exports significant. Oh my goodness, can't speak. This surge in viticulture exports signifies Rizia's growing prominence in the global market, offering an opportunity to further promote and capitalise on our renowned vintage. The decision to embrace this success can enhance our budget and solidify our reputation as producers of fine wines. Rizia's viticulture will travel around the world. 3 more budget, at least something's going to plan. If even if nothing else is, at least something is working. The royal convoy finally arrived at the entrance to the Alliance of Nations headquarters in Constantium. I looked around. Of all the leaders gathered here, we made the most grandiose entrance by far. I felt good about today. A voice over the loudspeaker announced that it was time to take our seats. I smiled before entering the fray. After the usual greetings, Lorenzo and I settled at our table in the conference hall. He leaned over and whispered in my ear, "Here we go, Your Majesty." What's the worst that can happen? We will see. A man that I recognise as President Nines, whatever his name is, approached the podium. The introductions to the sessions followed. With the opening hit of the gavel, the President announced the opening of the session. Martin van Houten, the Prime Minister of Agnolia, was summoned to the stage. I looked around the room. The attendees' attentions began to flag. A few didn't even bother to disguise their yawns. "Thank you, President. Good morning. It's an honour to see you all here in this chamber. The Alliance of Nations and its position is paramount to maintaining peace in the world. It is the sole organisation that can bring all of us together, not only for constructive discussions, but for collective problem solving. With our combined will and desire for justice, there is no issue we cannot resolve. I therefore ask you for your assistance in the fair and just resolution of a dilemma faced by my proud nation of Agnolia, concerns Helgi Island." Upon hearing the name of the island, everyone in the room woke up and sprang to his attention. I heard Lorenzo mutter under his breath, "This again. We're in for an interesting time. He's reigniting Agnolia's feud with Vagusland. If you ask me, now is neither the time nor place. But the innocent Agnolians living on this island are currently living under the long shadow cast by Vagusland. Their territorial ambitions know no bounds. They will not rest until they have subdued every Agnolian soul on the land they have unlawfully claimed as theirs. Helgi Island is a vital piece of our heritage that Chancellor Hegel is trying to take away from us by force. I pose you this question. What would you have done if it was your land under threat?" Our eyes randomly met before he turned his gaze away. "The place where your great-grandfather was born, where your father was born. Would you not defend it? Would you not protect it with your life?" He does have a point. Having a point is not enough, there's more at play here. As unfortunate as it is, we've seen firsthand after Mike's makes right. For peace in Eastern Mokopa, Helgeland has to be recognised as Agnolian. Don't forget, if you tolerate this happening to us, your own nations will be next. I urge you to do the right thing. Thank you. I could see that Emmerich Hegel had a smirk on his face. He seemed confident. The President declared the voting to begin on the matter. Nay. Aye. Abstain. Aye. Nay. So that's 2 each so far. 4 nays, 5 nays, 6 nays, 7 nays, 8 nays. Nay. Because it's already a foregone conclusion, I'm sticking with the majority. The voting concluded and President Nines took his seat. The result was a nay by a landslide. Defeated, Martin van Houten shook his head in disbelief. His shoulders dropped. Who knew how he felt in that moment? The President signalled for a break, and Lorenzo stood up to catch a minister he wanted to talk to. I enjoyed the Kyrutian circular pastry with sesame seeds, apparently named Brekev, that was handed out as a snack as we waited for the session to continue. Okay, back to Port Drazen. A deficit. What's happening now? Oh, goodness. And all the money's gone again. The recent drop in global energy prices has led to a significant decrease in our energy export incomes, leading to a concerning loss of our national budget. This problem presents a significant problem as we can't strategically allocate treasury resources elsewhere. So all that money we got from the wine, we just lost. God damn it. This is not going great, is it? The kingdom is eagerly awaiting Princess Venus' impending nuptial. To ensure that everything runs smoothly, on the big day it has been advised that we fund the creation of a royal wedding committee, comprising event planners, security experts, protocol officers, financial managers, and communications specialists. In the event the committee is not founded, responsibility for wedding coordination would fall on members of the royal household. I will fund that because I want things to go to plan. Good thing I sold some energy before the prices went low. I'm intrigued now, actually, just to see if I was now to try sell some more energy. 4 energy for 2 budget. It's still the same. Okay. Goodness. Let's see if we can get something good out of today. Night time at the palace. It was the night before Venus' wedding. After a day spent finalising arrangements, conducting interviews, and meeting with visiting guests, I was exhausted. First, though, I decided to take a walk in the palace gardens to clear my head. I just stepped onto the grounds when I bumped into Lucita. Oh, hello, Your Majesty. I was conducting last-minute security drills in the Grand Hall. You can't really be too careful with these things. Sounds like you urgently need a stress relief. She smiled. Come on, let's take a walk. We strolled further into the gardens. It was a balmy night, and the moon was beginning to rise. Under cover of darkness, Lucita slipped her hand into mine. I can't believe Her Highness is getting married tomorrow. I still remember attending the celebrations when she was born. Her mother looked so gorgeous. And me? How did I look? Like a handsome prince. We had come to the clearing in the middle of the gardens. To our left was the stone bench. The moon had risen by now, illuminating Lucita's features. I thought about everything we'd been through together. I thought about her position as councillor. Her interim status had lasted longer than expected, but it was nearly time for her father to return. Let us sit down. I motioned for Lucita to sit next to me on the bench. Lucita's eyes widened. She looked at me questioningly. Oh, God. Are you able to bear children? Do you love me? Will you marry me? Oh God, what do I say? Sure, will you marry me? She clapped her mouth to her hand. It was the second before she replied. Is it unromantic of me to ask why? I've loved you since the moment you entered my council chambers. I've loved you since before we even met. She reached up, grabbed the back of my head, and pulled my face level with hers. Yes, King Romus, I will marry you. We kissed with such force that we nearly toppled to the ground. I wondered if any guards had eyes on us. When we broke apart, she was grinning. Wait, I have an idea. She took my hand and pulled me towards the palace. She led me through the ground floor corridors until we came to the entrance of the Sal's quarters. You want to wake up the old man now? She put a finger to her lips and quietly rapped on the door. After almost a minute, it creaked open, and Sal stood there in his dressing gown. Your Majesty, Your Grace, is there an emergency? Lucita took my hand and stepped forward. Grand Wiseman, His Majesty and I are in love and wish for you to sanctify our union by sacrament of marriage. Now. He rubbed his eyes. This is most unorthodox. Would you rather we live in sin, Grand Wiseman? No, of course not. Give me one moment. He carefully closed the door. Don't you want your father to be here? He never had any use for weddings. It would be far more important for him to be present when we first addressed the troops together. The door opened and Sal beckoned us inside, now dressed in ceremonial robes. Because we are not in a church, some sacred traditions have to be foregone, but your marriage shall still be vowed before the Lord and the law. Please join hands. I clasped Lucita's hands in mine as we stood side by side in front of Sal. He opened an ancient-looking scroll and read from it. Almighty and ever-loving God, who in thy infinite wisdom hast blessed the union of two hearts in holy wedlock, look kindly upon His Majesty Romus Taurus and Duchess Lucita Azaro, who stand before thee seeking thy blessing. In this sacred covenant, love and duty converge to forge a legacy that transcends the temporal realm. Let it be known that in the heart of such a union, the virtues of loyalty, honour, and unwavering commitment are the true jewels that adorn the crown of matrimonial sanctity. The royal orb was on his desk. He picked it up and motioned for us to place our joined hands upon it. Now repeat after me. I, Romus Taurus, do pledge my unwavering faithfulness and devotion to you, Lucita Azaro. I vow to uphold you in joy and in sorrow, in prosperity and in adversity. I commit to lead our union with wisdom and compassion, seeking always the guidance of the divine. In all our days, my commitment to you shall remain steadfast as we walk together in God's light. Sal nodded to Lucita, and she repeated the vow. The Grand Wiseman placed the orb back on his desk. He took out a small pot containing a small, strong-smelling substance. This oil is infused with the protection of our Lord, and the strength and blessings of our ancestors. As you anoint one another, be reminded of your promises to serve each other, the Lord, and this realm. I dipped a finger into the oil and lightly touched Lucita's forehead. She did the same to me. Sal reached into his drawer and produced two ancient-looking rings. These were salvaged from the Plavo crypt. I don't know who they belong to. They belong to House Azaro, Grand Wiseman. That much is certain. A Taurus king with an Azaro ring, I shall keep your house with me at all times. As we exchanged rings, I looked deep into Lucita's eyes. They were like bottomless pools, concealing the future of the kingdom somewhere within their depths. By the power invested in me, through the divine grace and the laws that govern our land, I now pronounce you husband and wife. In accordance with tradition, you may now seal your vows with a kiss. Our lips met. I sensed every molecule in her body vibrating with happiness. Once again, I was a married man. But there was still one more wedding to go. Goodness me. I was not expecting... I was expecting that at some point. I'm not sure I was necessarily expecting that, the very next... I wasn't expecting it to be so brief and so sudden. So yes. Lucita is now our wife, as far as I can tell. That is very, very interesting indeed. But we'll leave things there, as there's another wedding to go the next morning with Princess Fina, and of course the hope that Palez will reunify with us. Maybe we can get Zille back through a referendum, but I'm not very happy with... I'm really not happy with Valen at all. They're friendly, but, we gave them a lot, but clearly not enough. That being said, we'll leave things there. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.